Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is the Mallorca Connection. And the Mallorca Connection is how I was connected and am connected with the star of our show, Mr. Roland FRIEDL. He is living and working out of his motorhome as he travels across Europe, and he's going to be sharing with us some insights about why we should never eat alone. Let's welcome him to the program. Hello, Roland.
Hello, Dr. JACALYN. Great to see you again.
Thank you. Great to see you as well. You're looking healthy. You're looking very happy. How are things going on the road?
Like a roller coaster, like in a normal life. You know, I'm luckily that I have many very good days. I have some good days and I have some challenging days. You know, like normal life too. But right now it's really good. I had some challenges the last weeks because my dog was really badly hurt. I had to be honest, some financial issues too. But now I'm coming back on the road. Yeah, I'm good. I'm now in the south of Austria. Tomorrow I have a good business meeting with a huge company, because the CFO, the chief financial officer, a friend of mine, so introduced me to the HR manager, and I had a very good meeting last Friday with a Swiss company. So everything is good. Yeah, everything is good on the road.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. And, you know, Roland, you and I were talking briefly, I don't know if it was this show or the other show, about when you are traveling, whether you're traveling in a motorhome or if you're traveling for business, you're flying, there are many times when you are by yourself. I mean, that's just the way that it is. You're by yourself. I remember traveling quite often in my corporate career, and I'd have my iPad with me and I'd sit at the bar, order my dinner and watch a movie on my iPad instead of actually conversing, because there's always that opportunity that someone doesn't want to talk to you. And then you have to deal with that rejection. So how have you been able to turn it into a win-win so that you can eat and network at the same time?
Well, I don't know in the US, but we know we Austrians, we are world famous in the world for good restaurants. When you look at the first class hotels worldwide, many times it's an Austrian general manager or a F&B, a food and beverage manager. So we love to eat, we love to communicate. We have a very good, food besides the Italians. So we Austrians love to eat, we love to communicate, we love to socialize. And when I started doing business, and I was in the corporate world in the beginning and then started my own business, as you said, you're traveling, you know, within the country or outside, and I was traveling globally. So you have to eat, at least, I don't know, depending what you love. I'm not a breakfast eater, to be honest. I'm more lunch and an early dinner. But it doesn't matter what kind of meal you prefer. I was thinking about why eating alone. It's boring, you know. Before the internet career, everybody was behind a newspaper or a magazine or whatever, or reading some business papers from the company. Or today, everybody's on a smartphone, on a tablet. And I was starting in the early years about this doesn't make sense. And to be honest, I found a book by I can highly recommend, by Keith Ferrazzi. This was also a game changer. And I said, okay, why should I eat alone? I have to eat it all. I have to eat. Of course, I need, as I said, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. Why should I do it alone? So let's meet some people. So what I always do is, in Austria, you don't make any business without going out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Here it changed a little bit. It was always dinner. Then, we stopped it. Most people stopped it because, with dinner, people drinking alcohol, that is not very healthy. And the thing is, then you have some clients that never want to go home. So you're sitting here and your wife is waiting. So we moved it to lunch, because after lunch you can say, I'm sorry, I have to go back to the office. Or what became very popular, especially in Austria and Germany, to have a breakfast, a business breakfast together, because then you can say, sorry, we meet at 8 or 8:30, and at 10 I have to go back to the office or whatever. So there's less dinners here. But yeah, and I found out, okay, even when I travel and I don't have friends, so what can I do? And I was really, I have a huge network, and I said, okay, when I plan my traveling, my trips, let's say to France, for example, who do I know in this area? And then I was checking my systems. In the beginning, it was a handwritten one, but I had a very good, very clever system before a computer went out. So I had everyone by country, and then by region, and then by city. So I didn't have them by name, so in alphabetic order, by their family name. I had them by country, region, and cities. And within there, if there's more than one people I know, then I have an alphabetic order. So I had the system. So I was just looking France. I go in this area, thinking, do I know somebody, or do I know somebody who knows somebody? And I was calling people. I said, hey, I'm in the area. Do you have time and meet up for people? Have a lunch together or whatever. And I made a really good contacts and good friends, and also some good businesses. And even when it's not a business in the beginning, but you stay in touch, you learn each other. So for me, it from the early morning, from the early moment, I started to realize eating alone is boring. It doesn't make sense when you sit around in a restaurant and waiting. I mean, when you get the meal, you can eat, but between the order and the meal is coming, you just sit around, you're waiting, you're sitting alone. I didn't like it. So I found out, okay, let's meet other people. And the other way is, and sometimes it can happen that I don't know somebody in the city, then I go in a restaurant and be very open. And sometimes, especially in the south, when in the Mediterranean area, when people check out that you're coming in alone, they invite you to come sit with us. Or when I sit alone on a table, I always go on a large table, not on the small ones. I go on a large table, sit there if the owner allows me to meet. And then I sit there with an open heart and a smile. So I invite people to join me. Yeah, just why not? Because there are many business people alone, and have many stories. I made amazing people around the globe on my business trips, just talking to them, because they're sitting also alone there behind a newspaper or behind the tablet.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of getting the self-awareness and the self-esteem, because if someone else is by themselves, they're thinking the same thing possibly that you're thinking, and all kinds of collaborations can come up just by extending the courtesy, or how's your day been, or are you in town for a conference, or some icebreaker. What are some that you can think of?
Yeah, I always started, because there are two options. You can wait that somebody else is approaching, so you are reactive, or you can be proactive. I mean, it's a kind of mindset. If you want to talk to people, don't wait. Go there, say a nice hello, how are you doing? And you get a reaction. Especially body language tells you a lot. When there are other people say but you see the body, it's going back with your body, not forward. No, this person wants to be alone. It's okay too. I said, hey, no, happened to me too. Hey, all good. Wish you a nice day. But I always went proactive to people, and I really made a lot of amazing people. And sometimes people came proactively to me, and why not? Yeah, but it's to be honest, it's more about the mindset. You need some skills, of course, but it's about the mindset. Do you want with other people? Do you want to socialize or not? That's the point. Do you like people? Do you want to meet people? Yes or no? But I strongly believe if you want to be successful in business, you should love people.
I think it's basic business 101, right?
Absolutely. And I made really cool people. I remember, I'm giving an example. I was working as how do you call it, intermediate manager. So I jumped into a company. They hired me for 4 months because one manager left. They didn't find a new one. So I jumped in for 4 months for this company to help them out as a manager until they found a new one. And I've been living in a hotel, actually an apartment of a hotel, for 4.5 months. and outside of the city. So I went outside of the city. You know, I love to be in nature, but it was a nice luxury spa hotel because I love to go to the gym using a spa. I'm not the person who sits in a bar in the evening. That's not my attitude. And I went there and I had to have breakfast there because it was a very busy day. So I had no time for mostly no lunch except the business lunch. So I had breakfast there in this hotel. And, you know, it's a spa hotel. So most people are not in a suit, in a tie. But I had a suit on. And there was another person sitting alone in a suit. And I said, okay, this is not a guest. It's not a guest who coming for a spa to enjoy a day or a weekend at a spa. He's a businessman too. So I said, hey, good morning. You're here from business. You're not here for the spa. I said, yeah. And he was the CEO of the largest constructing company in Austria, and we're still friends. So we made friends. He visited me on the island. I visited him, and stuff like that. So you never know who you're gonna meet. But as I said, it's about your mindset. Are you really interested in other people? And to be honest, it's not just for business for me. It's just to really connect with other people, to get to know each other people. It's not about a business in the first side for me. It's about, because I love to communicate. I have other days, to be honest. The older I get, the more I also love my time when I'm alone, especially my motorhome. Then I cook for myself. If I want to be alone, I cook for myself and stay by myself, or I put on the barbecue or something like that. Of course, I do that too. I don't want always people around me, but it's as I said, never eat alone if it's possible. Especially when you want to push your career or build up a business, meet people, because the point is, if you want to be successful in business, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you don't have a good network, people who promote you, people who support you, it's not working. You need a good network. And
what are your thoughts about when you're flying? Because you know how we've all seen it, where two people start talking. Everybody can hear what they're saying. Then the plane lands and they don't even go to baggage together. They're just like, oh, bye. So
yeah, this can happen too. Yeah. But you find it, you realize it during the conversation. It depends how deep the conversation is going. Some people just want to talk because they don't want to read or something. Yeah. But to be honest, it happened to me on a long train ride, because there was all flight canceled. There was it wasn't a thunderstorm, but there was something going on. There was every plane was canceled. I had to take a train ride, a 6-hour train ride, and I was sitting. There was these apartments. There were 6 and 6 people. It was not an open wagon. It was a small one, 6 and 6, and there was a person talking to me like crazy. I gave them one of my magazines, meaning shut up. I want to be by myself. It can happen too. But mostly, when it's an interesting person, something that really has to say, not just blah blah, I'm always interested in other people. But when it's only an ego show, then people tell me how good they are. Then I say, okay, I'm off. But I'm always interested in other people. It's funny, yeah, it's absolutely funny, and you meet incredible people.
Yeah, it's really true. If you don't take that opportunity to speak to someone, I remember I was traveling by plane, and I actually was in first class. I had points back then, and somebody asked to switch seats with me. So I switched seats, and I ended up next to this guy, and he was reading this annual report, and across the top it said confidential for shareholders only. And then he put it down on that little thing in between the two seats, and he went to sleep, and it was sitting right there, confidential. So I did not look at it. When he woke up, I just said, I kind of put my hand over, and I said, by the way, I'm just saying you may not want to leave this information out. I didn't look at it. And we started a conversation, and we became friends from there. And he introduced me to a few people, and he was the CEO of a very well-known, now it's defunct, but very well-known company that was headquartered here in the United States. And so I was glad that I spoke with him, because we developed a friendship.
Yeah. It's always, the point is, what you're going to lose when somebody says no. They say no, but if you don't ask, it's 100% no. If you ask, it's a 50-50 chance. You double your chance. Yeah. It's like everything in life, If you don't ask, it's 100% no. If you ask, it's a 50-50 chance.
I had
And to be honest, if the other one is an asshole, I'm happy if he or she's not starting a conversation, and if it's not, it's fine.
Yeah. Just one more traveling first class story. I was for business, and I was sitting in the seat by the window, and the person in the row in front of me sitting in the seat on the aisle. So there's a space in between so you can see. And this person had on just a t-shirt and had on a baseball cap. And he was reading this presentation from the National Football League. And it was from the NFL to confidential information to all players. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's an NFL player sitting in the seat right in front of me. So he was turning the page. So he ended up at some point, he stood up for something. I guess he had a flight attendant, and he had the presentation in his hand, and I saw his name. So I paid for the Wi-Fi service, and I was looking him up to see what team he was with. So anyway, it was so juvenile. As we were leaving the plane, I told him, I said, I was sitting in the row behind you, and I saw blah, blah, blah. And I said, I sounded so ridiculous when I tell you right now, it's embarrassing. I said, I'd really like to get to know you better. And he asked me out on a date, and I didn't go because he was from a different state. And it was probably 20 years older than he was, but he said yes. And then we exchanged information, and he contacted me via email, and I said, this is ridiculous. So, but you just never know.
Yeah, you never know who you're gonna meet, and it's really interesting. And as I said, most people are, especially successful people, they're mostly traveling alone, especially in business. I mean, how many miles I spent, how many times I was sitting in a hotel and I had lunch or dinner, whatever. And there are many others outside too, and they're happy that somebody starts a conversation. It's always the same. To be honest, a very few moments that there's somebody said in a non-verbal no. It's very few. Most of them are happy. I mean, depending how you approach them, of course. I mean, when you're there and you just want to sell something directly or whatever, you put pressure on them. No, a nice conversation. I mean, a nice conversation, not about the weather, but what are you doing? Where are you coming from? And then, of course, I ask them which industry are you in, what are the challenge, what do you love on your job, what's your challenging. So I'm a coach and consultant. Of course, I get information, of course, but I never try to sell something. Yeah, I'm just interested in the people. That's what I do.
That's such
I always do it when I go to Vienna. My kids, all my three boys live in Vienna. Of course, they're always number one. When they have time for me for lunch or dinner, I meet them, and then the rest of the days, the other days when I'm spend more times, I cool around, meet people. Here, I'm now in Graz. I had a early dinner together with a friend of mine. She runs a company. She's very engaged in social media. She does social media for huge companies and museums and stuff like that. So I'll always learn a lot from her. Tomorrow I have a lunch with the CFO of a company. In the evening I have another dinner with somebody, and on Wednesday, I have a lunch with somebody 40 miles from here. And then I'm heading back 4 hours in my motorhome north to Steyr to meet somebody who is very good in a certain business where I want to start. So yeah, all the time.
Good for you. That's very positive and exciting. And
to be honest, it's not about some people say, but has some concern. Yeah, when I call somebody, I have to pay the bill. No, not at all. Well, no, why? No. It's not in white. It's just have your time for lunch together. What are your plans tomorrow, 1 p.m. for example? Because I'm in town, I go for lunch. Do you want to join me? It's not in white, so you don't feel forced that you have to pay for it. Not at all. That's not part. And the second thing I want to mention is that some people say, it's costly. I mean, you have to eat anyway. And we had this in the previous show. I'm not a fast food fan at all. And I don't know if you meet the right people in fast food restaurants, but anyway, of course it costs money, but you have to eat something. And I don't know how it's in the US, but the most expensive things when you go to a restaurant here in Europe, it's not the food, it's the drinks. So you don't have to drink a bottle or 2 bottles of wine. So, and the other thing is, some people say, when I always go out for lunch and dinner with business, I will gain weight. look at me. Not at all. It depending what you order. You can have some salad or some lean salmon or lean chicken breast or whatever. So it's not about this. This is an excuse. This is absolutely an excuse. So it's not expensive, to be honest. When you do it on because you make some businesses out of it and meeting some friends and building up a network. It's an investment. And as I said, you have to eat anyway because you're hungry. Don't buy junk food or stuff like that or something to go. No, sit down. And it hasn't been a four-star Michelin restaurant. Not at all. To be honest, one thing, I sometimes, of course, I invite also clients, of course, for lunch, and I never go in fancy restaurants. I'm always looking for very unique restaurants with a small cart, a small menu, so as you say, menu with a small menu, with homemade stuff, with local stuff. And they all said, Roland, this was delicious. I can't see this fancy shit anymore. I love this place. I love this restaurant. I never heard about it. So I always look for some unique restaurants. They're mostly not expensive. They have local food. They're good in quality, real fresh food. That's what people love. Just to be authentic. Be authentic.
Absolutely. And, something I just want to mention, and I know you're a big advocate of this as well. Here on our platform, USA Global TV and Radio, we have a community. We have a collaboration. Yet there are people here who stick to themselves. I'll say, hey, are you aware we've got probably 50 people that, you could reach out? No, I just want to do my show and leave. So I think wherever you are, if you're open to it, it makes so much sense to get to know what somebody else is doing, and you never know where that can lead for the two of you.
Absolutely. You never know. Maybe it's not, as I said in the first meeting, or you don't have an idea, but maybe it's later that you come together for a business, or somebody needs something, or you just need a recommendation, or it's not only making business. Sometimes I have friends and I say, hey, I want to buy a new car. Do you know somebody of the dealers where I get a discount? Or I want to buy this, or I want to go on vacation. Do you have a tip for that? Or it's not about making business, but also get tips and recommendation. Or I ask somebody, I saw on LinkedIn that you're a friend with this and this person. Can you introduce me to this person, for example? Yeah, it's also building up your network, and ask your existing network, introduce me to other people, and to your friends that you want to connect. It's all about. I guess there's also saying in the US that everybody has somebody somewhere in the network who knows the president. I guess you need 5 steps or something like that. That's mathematics. That somebody knows the president. And I met many people on parties, and then they introduced me, and they invited me there, and then my network was growing. Absolutely. I want to give another tip, Dr. JACALYN, if I can. So when you're traveling, and when you go to a place in Chicago in the US or whatever, LA or whatever, or here in Europe, in London or whatever, and you have only one day and only lunchtime, and you have 2 friends or 3 friends or business you want to meet, what I do, I meet them all. What I do is I invite them, or I call them all 2 or 3. I said, hey, I'm in town next week on Wednesday. Do you want to join me on lunch? And if they say yes, if it's okay for you, I bring another friend and I want to introduce you. So what I do is I bring people together. All my friends know me, but ask Roland if you need any network tips or any person that can help with my business. They always call me when they hire somebody or whatever. They call me because I know a lot of people in Europe. So what I also do is, let's just say I want to see 2 people on the same day because I only have one day in town. So I call the first one and say, "Are you free? I'm in town. I go for lunch. Are you free? Yes or no?" Well, they say yes. And then I call the second one. And I tell them, hey, maybe another friend is coming. It's okay for you. I can introduce me as an interesting person. Maybe you can connect. You never know. And then when there's a very deep relationship to somebody that I want to have a personal talk, not in front of the other person, I say, hey, can you come half an hour earlier? Then we have a half an hour private chat or in whatever issue is. And then the other person comes too. I connect them, introduce them, and we have a lunch together, 2, 3, 4 persons. And they're all happy because they love to connect. They say, hey, I don't know, he's in this business, she's in this business. And I also connect people. It's not only for my network, I also help other people build up the network because then they also help me to build up my network. It's a win-win situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the type of mentality that you have and the mindset can be really contagious, so that other people, they're like, yeah, I want to be around Roland. I want to get to know Roland. I like his attitude. I like the way he embraces life. And then they're naturally drawn to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's about, how you approach these people. I give another example. I guess we had one. I remember we had once this discussion a year ago, something like that, on one of the previous shows. Is when you want to build up your network, is the question is, whom are you going to surround with yourself, or whom you're going to meet? Okay, when you say from 1 to 10, 10 is a very charismatic person who knows everybody, who's open, who is, I don't know, loyal, successful in what kind of area. And then the other opposite is 1, the classical, I wouldn't say loser, but the classical nobody, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So when you value yourself, and maybe you're diplomatic, you say, okay, I'm a 5. Okay, I'm a 5 in the diplomatic middle. I'm a 5. So when you want to build up your network, you have to keep something in mind. When you are 5, it is not very usual that you surround yourself with 1s or with 10s. Not at all, because otherwise you wouldn't be a 5. So you surround yourself with other 5s, some 6, and some 4s. Yeah, that's your environment in business or in your job, in your community. And you're 5, you're around with 5, 4s, and 6. That's proven. That's a proven system. So the point is that some people don't upgrade their network, they downgrade their network. What I mean is they surround themselves with 4s, because then they're the hero. They have the funny guys, they have the story, they know they're the expert in everything, they know everything, and the others are listening, and what they do is they just boost their ego. But then you surround with them with the 4s. So think about the 4s. The 4s also have a surrounding. They have 4s, 5, and 3s. So you surround with the 4s. This 4s surround with the 3s, and the 3s with the 2s. So you're downgrading your network. That's not helpful in business, I can tell you, and it's not fun. So you have to upgrade. So when you're 5, be around with the 6. Meaning, when you surround with 6, you're not the hero. The other ones know more than you did. They're more successful, they're more charismatic. So you just join them and learn. Be silent and learn. That's what you're doing. And that's how you learn. And then you get the 6. And then what I did when I started building up my network is I joined different events. And I always was looking for somebody who is just in the center, where everybody goes to this person to shake it. Not this person was not moving. Everybody was coming to this person. Okay, this is a 9 or 10 or whatever. So I just joined when he was in a conversation with a group of people. I joined them. I just was listening, just was listening at different topics. I didn't try to become a hero, or didn't try to add something, because it was not my business. I had no idea about this. So I was just listening and learning. And sometimes, and then after a while, they realized, oh, there's another person here. And I said, hey, may I introduce myself? I'm Roland. It's just interesting what you're talking about. I want to learn more about this. And then we're shaking hands. And I get to know some people. I still stand there. They how to say, they introduce me to each other, and they also ask me, talk to me, and then I learn more about the country. We share business cards or whatever. I call this person, we meet for lunch, whatever, and then introduce me to their network, because to their events. And then that's step by step. So how I upgrade my network. It's be aware if you upgraded it but downgraded it. When you downgrade it, you have an ego problem.
Slowly, building.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something else we had, Philip Sykes had his special show, Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire. Another episode is coming up Wednesday, actually. And we had on Dr. Meisner, Ivan Meisner, who's the founder of BNI, the networking organization. Is huge. And one thing that he shared that I think is so important when we're talking about networking and engaging with others and forming relationships is that you never try to sell yourself. You never sell anyone anything. You are there to provide value and to listen. But when people start, you know what it feels like. Let's say you're sitting by yourself and somebody else is sitting by themselves, and immediately they start trying to sell you something. It's such a turn off. And so we want to make sure that people don't do that.
Many years ago, I was playing golf and I stopped it because people come join your flight and the first thing they introduce themselves, want to sell something. I said, please focus on the game. I hated it, by the way. No, but I never try to sell something. I'm really interested in a person. And of course, they ask me, like I do, what kind of profession are you in and what are you doing? Because it interests me. And when they ask me something and if they want to know more about it, I always stop this kind of conversation and say, hey, let's be here because we are here, I don't know, on a party or whatever event it is. Mostly it's in the evening or whatever, especially when you meet people on an event, to say, hey, let's enjoy the evening, let's have a drink or whatever. Let's enjoy the evening. If you're really interested, give me your business card. I call you the next 2 days and we find an appointment. I always stop the conversation. Always. Because some people really don't see the trap. Somebody asks you more questions, and they start selling, and they start overselling, and then they realize the more talk, the less the other person is interested. Yes, because it's not the right timing. So when somebody's really interested, I said, I will stop it. I said, hey, let's enjoy the evening. Give me your business card. I give you a call the next day as soon as I'm free, and then we find an appointment, and then we can go in a deeper conversation. There's 2 reasons. You stop it. You make the other person more curious. You say, okay, this person has something interesting. He's not trying to sell. He's not trying to convince me or whatever. This person is really cool. He's charismatic. Stops here. That's one thing. And the second thing is, I want to meet more people. So why should I spend too much time with one person? I want to network with more people, especially when I go on events. So I always say, enjoy your evening. I'm very looking forward to call you the next 2 or 3 days, and we make an appointment. And then I go around, especially on events, and meet other people. But that's not about eating. It's just a tip. And the other thing is, as I said before, is when you're especially in business, never ever eat alone. Never eat alone. When you eat alone, you're a lonely person. It's not fun, and you're not making business at all.
Absolutely. And you had mentioned about business cards. I just wanted to touch on that briefly because I'm in the process of ordering business cards. I don't have any business cards for USA Global TV and Radio, and I'm going to a conference and I'm going to be speaking, and I thought I need to get some cards. So anyway, what I want to just mention is I have 2 businesses. And so I have 1 set of cards for Dr. JACALYN, and then I'm going to have 1 for USA Global. And I decided to do something that I've never done before. And I'd love to have your insights before I go through with my cart and purchase it. So for USA,
I never use a business card.
You never use one?
No. And people ask me if a business card says, sorry, I don't have them with me. Give me mine, I call you, because I want to stay proactive. I don't want to wait till somebody calls me.
No, I think that's good philosophy. I just think for the television channel, there's so many people who might want to actually go on and register as a guest, that if I had something to hand to them. So yeah. I'm contemplating getting these. They're very thick. They're made out of plastic. I don't know if it's plastic, some kind of substitute for plastic. I guess it's not plastic, but you would have this forever pretty much, because it's not made out of paper, and it's see-through, but it's frosted. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the more unique the business card is, the better it is, because most people are collecting a lot of business cards, so it's standing out. A friend of mine is not using business cards. He's using a flyer that is the size of this, not too large, but larger than business cards. When they put it on the table, they always see this flyer. So there are different approaches. Mine is never a business card. Even in corporate world, I said, I refused it. You can print them for me, thanks, but I don't use them. I said, why? I said, because my job is to bring business, and to be business, I have to be proactive. I'm not waiting for a client to call me. I call them. So I ask them for a business card, and then I go proactive. This was always my approach. Still today, they give me the bit. I know tomorrow I will meet this new HR. He will give me a business card, and I said, I'm sorry, I don't have one with me, but I will email you immediately my contact details. In my contact details, I start a conversation. So that's my way. That's my way.
No, I think that's good. And also, just a comment that I have, that I actually got this idea from our friend Red O'Loughlin, which is I've now published 9 books. I think I have 3 more coming out this year. But this one book, Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening, I'm going to use this as my calling card. I'm going to use this as my business card.
It's a perfect one. Yeah,
and I'll sign it, and then maybe put my business card as a place marker for the book.
For example, yeah, that's a very good one. I want to add something for the networking. I'm very transparent and honest. So the last 3 years during this pandemic, or some we call it pandemic, I really had a hard time in my business. So there was no much training, especially the US companies. It was forbidden to travel, so they didn't allow their sales force and the management to travel. So there was no training, there was nothing. So my business went down. I was facing a hard time, to be honest. But the network helped me. A friend of mine, I met him 20 years ago. Can you imagine? 20 years ago, I met him. And we're still in contact. So sometimes we meet, or we have phone calls. I guess we have once a year we go for a lunch or something, because we don't live in the same country. So at least we can handle it that once or maybe twice a year we meet for a lunch together. We always stay in contact. And now he made this amazing contact to the Swiss company I met last Friday. And I guess it looks good that we start an opportunity together. Or the guy I meet tomorrow. I met him years ago, and now he's going to introduce me to his HR manager. So especially when you have facing hard times, it's good to have a network. So you can call people and they don't hang up. So they said, okay, how can I help you? I said, okay, I want this and this and this. To be honest, I have time for jobs, for opportunities, and they help you. And so it's also especially when we all know that a business is not always going like this. Something is going down, it's going up again. But especially when it's going down, it's good to have a real network where you can count on it. So people when you call them, they really pick up the phone and they talk to you. That's why I love a network too, not only in good times, but also in bad times. It's like a relationship, When it's sunny, it's easy. But when there's a heavy storm outside, it's good when there's somebody on your side. That's another tip from myself, from my side.
Absolutely. And something else I'll just leave with from my side is I think that it's really important that the other person sees that you're a good listener. They know that you are interested in them and that it's a give and take relationship. So it's not every time you meet with them or every time you call them, you're just going on and on about yourself. It has to be some kind of give and take where you're interested in what the other person's doing and what are their business goals and how things been going for them. And if they don't ask you to present a solution for something, just listen. We're so used to trying to solve everything for everyone, even if somebody didn't ask us for a solution.
Yeah, some especially when you know top managers or business or people who run their own business, the higher you get, the less people you have you can trust. They're just happy when somebody's listening. They're just happy about that. I made some business because I was listening many times to them when they have been talking to me. And as you said, Dr. Checker, it's not always about giving a clever reply or a solution. It's just listening helps them very much. And when they really make the experience that you're here to listen and be really interested in this person and this what challenging they're facing or whatever issues they have, that's trust building. It's trust building. Yeah? And then they come back later to you and they remind you, okay, this guy or this lady was there when I had a hard times. Now I need somebody in this area, and I know this person is in this business, in this industry. Give him a call. And that's what my experience is. That was my experiences. People come to me and say, hey, Roland, I know you have a hard time. I have some business for you. So why not? Yeah, why not? It's as I said, Dr. Jack, it's about listening. And when we talk about networking and building up a network, it's about, it's like when you have an account on a bank. First of all, you have to pay in before you can get out the money. So you have to pay in, and the same is network. You have to pay in, you have to pay in, you have to pay in before you can take out. And some people want to take out before paying in, or some people want to pay in and take it out immediately. That's also not working. It takes some time. And again, it's about how authentic are you? How real are you? How honest are you? That's all about. People can feel it if you just want to make business, if your dollars in your eyes, or you're really interested in the other person. People feel it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And one thing I just want to add on to that is that when someone is coming from a heart-centric place, they are really curious and they're interested in what you're doing. If they're coming from an ego place, it's all about them. Oh, I don't have time for this. Or I'm not interested. That's a person that you maybe say, okay, I'm not going to be spending any time with this person because I can just see it's a one-way street.
Absolutely. Funny story. Hope he's not listening. It doesn't matter. I met somebody on a camping site, and he knows, he was an expert in everything, really, in everything. He knew everything much better. So it was funny. There was a t-shirt shop where they print some stuff on a t-shirt for small money. So I bought a t-shirt, and I don't know, I hope I translated properly during this. That I'm retired. I know everything. I can do everything, and I have plenty of time to tell you.
Wait, did you give it to him or you kept it for yourself?
No, I gave it to him as a present.
What did he say?
I guess it took some time that he understood the message.
Subtle, very subtle, Roland. I like it. We're actually.
But to be honest,
Roland.
when I was younger, I was too shy to say stop. Now I don't want to waste time on this toxic person. Just this ego-driven thing. It has to be both sides, listening, talking, listening. But one person only talking, especially when they're only talking about himself or herself, I'm off. It's too much.
It's boring.
Yeah.
Roland, can you please share with our audience how you can help them? There's many ways that you can actually work with people, and how can you do that? And who would you like to contact you?
Good question. First of all, I guess who should contact me? Whoever wants to connect, who has fun and joy to meet other people. I'm always interested in where you're coming from, where you're heading to. So if you want to connect with people and maybe we find something in common, it's okay. If not, it's okay too. I always enjoy a good conversation. And if you want to contact me, the best way is go on my website. It's www.rolandfriedl.com. It's ROLANDFRIEDL.com, rolandfriedl.com. There you have a contact form, or you can use my email directly. It's office@rolandfriedl.com. Just contact me. I come back within 48 hours. I'm not always on my email because, to be honest, I don't use my email on my smartphone. But I come back within 48 hours, and then we never know where the journey is headed to. It's all about a journey, and it's always interesting to meet other people. And sometimes we do business, sometimes not. It's not all about business. It's about connecting. It's about caring and sharing. That's all about it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Roland, for caring and sharing here on USA Global TV and Radio. You also have your own platform. If someone's interested, they speak German, I guess, and they want to be on Roland Friedl Media. How do they contact you about that?
The best way is go on YouTube. It's Roland Media, but it's actually, I guess 90% is in German. Go on YouTube, Roland Media. Or is the best way to find me, because we are still working on the website, because the agency, Sam, that is working for me is so overbooked, so I have to wait. But the best way is also write me on office@rolandfriedl.com. That's the easiest way, or you go on YouTube, Roland Media. There you find me. Thanks.
All right. Thanks so much, Roland. Thank you, everyone. We'll be right back with our next show, which is a special event. It's called Energy. We're going to be talking about the power of positive energy, especially during dark times in our lives. We have an expert who's going to be joining us for that. So,
and ladies and gentlemen, 10th of October, World Janice Day. I hope I see you there.
Absolutely. I just met with Dr. Chan yesterday to go over the schedule. So thanks for being part of World Jenny's Day, which will be live streaming here next week. So we look forward to it.
All right, everyone. And I bring an Austrian group of very good musicians.
Fantastic. Thanks for your support.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye everyone.